feeling the need for some resilience. I read a story in the Sun magazine yesterday about a young adult, Vanessa, who normally wouldn't even kill a spider, but who one day assaulted a man at Trader Joe's. The story told of her upbringing by a mother who lovingly taught her the golden rule and from whom Vanessa had learned to look upon everyone as someone who was loved, someone who had come into the world by way of effort and pain and care. But this was Valentine's Day. She was lonely, without a date, and had been too busy at work to eat lunch, and had gone to Trader Joe's for ingredients to make her mother's special Valentine's chili, with a plan to eat it in her pajamas while watching Love is Blind. The sky was gray and spitting hail. She was famished, and she had circled the parking lot many times before squeezing into a tiny space not really meant for parking. An important piece of this story is that about half of the cars in the lot had Canadian plates. Vanessa had counted. You see, she lived in northern Washington, and Canadians regularly cross the border to buy subsidized dairy products at half the price. I can personally attest to this practice. When living in Canada, I often return to my home there with chunks of Costco cheese in my suitcase. Now, it was unlike Vanessa to be bothered by this. Typically, she loved the cosmopolitan aspects of Trader Joe's and appreciated the tax money the visitors left behind. But on this day, her stomach was growling, the free sample station was all out, and even the free coffee was gone. And when she arrived at the canned goods aisle to pick up the last essential ingredient for the chili, a can of diced tomatoes, she saw an empty shelf, but for one can. And as she leaned in to grab it, a man with a Canucks hat thrust his cart between her and the tomatoes, grabbed the can and flung it into his cart. The upshot? Well, after begging him to give her the can, you see, she really needed it for this special recipe for just this one terrible night. And she was only met with this man's intransigence. Well, Vanessa broke. Rage built up inside of her, and she unexpectedly clawed out at the man's face. He responded by grabbing her by the shoulders, and she responded by kneeing him in the crotch. As he buckled, she grabbed the tomatoes from his cart and fled with her basket and its ingredients, now a thief racing out of the parking lot with hands shaking. Can you identify? I think many of us are at the far edge of frazzled. We are just perhaps a can of diced tomatoes away from turning away from all that we know about kindness and the people we know ourselves to be. We are getting pushed around by people from away who are disrupting the normalcy of our lives. Some shelves in our neighborhoods and our schools and our restaurants are empty. We're tired. It's cold outside. We're hungry for humanity and love, and boy, oh boy, sometimes maybe it would just feel good to just punch someone. I don't think we can talk about resilience without talking about moments such as these. Moments like that few seconds when we make ourselves count to 10 before responding. The deep breaths we take before we must once again go out into the streets to witness ICE's atrocities or attend one more vigil or one more protest. When the tears come after delivering a food box to a family existing behind closed doors and drawn curtains, who are too fearful to go to school or to work, let alone the grocery store, and who don't have the money for the rent that's due. And also the moments when those of us who are white and cisgendered and able face again and then again the reality that such oppression is not unprecedented. It has always been true in many places and for many identities. And I know you know these moments, feeling like I can't get up. I can't do that thing again. I just can't face another day. I simply don't have it in me. I just can't. We wouldn't need resilience if we never experienced those kinds of moments. Well, first, I think a corrective understanding about resilience is necessary. Many of us, I know, have grown up watching cartoons in which the characters get flattened by steamrollers or by huge rocks falling on them. You know, they get run over by trains and trucks, they fall off ledges and go splat. They go from being 3D and in perfect health to one thin dimension plastered to some hard surface. But then what happens next? It's like they have instant reinflate valves. They quickly pop up to their full selves, showing no visible evidence of their recent near demise. And if you didn't already know that this is actually a superhuman ability that we mere humans don't possess, I am here to tell you that we cannot instantly reinflate after being hit by grief or trauma. Anything else anyone tells you is a lie. If cartoons actually told the truth, we would have seen the wounds. Bugs and Tom and Jerry and Bullwinkle and all the others would be altered by their experiences. We would see scars and broken bones, because that's what's real. That's life. We truly cannot bounce back or get back on the horse as if nothing had happened. Hard experiences and suffering are part of life, and resilience is not about bouncing back as if nothing had happened. Resilience is the ability to find ways to integrate all of that and to keep living the only lives we have, and even to find some joy in them. Resilience is that resource, that ability that makes it possible for us to go on, to put one foot in front of the other, to keep turning toward light and love, to keep insisting on living our values, to be willing to make mistakes and learn from them. Resilience comes from finding a well of strength and determination to draw upon. But where is that well? And how is it filled up? How do we access it? When we are at the breaking point, when we've fallen and think we'll never get up again, where is that well? Well, anything I've read or learned about resilience tells me that there is no one single well. There is no one brand of resilience-rich water. We find it wherever and however we can, and whether it's seen or acknowledged, I do believe it's present in every breath and every step we take. About 20 years ago, I took a trip to Israel and Palestine with a group from my seminary, where we visited various activist organizations. And one of those places was the Bethlehem YMCA. There is a Y in Bethlehem, but it has become a rehabilitation place for hundreds of children who have lost limbs. Unsettled by the stories told there, I asked a staff member how it is that they go on. And while I'm now chagrined by the unconscious privilege that question belied, I am grateful for the insight in their response, which was, when your back is up against a wall, you only have two choices: to go on or to choose death. And maybe that's what resilience is, to accept that there are just two choices, and seeing that, to choose to go on. And you see, resilience is not something we do alone. We find it in the stories and myths of our ancestors. It's present in every single outreached hand, each look of acknowledgement, each word of comfort and reassurance. I think it's grown in human touch, in laughter, in breath itself. It's evident in the turning of the seasons and the ways that all life finds to thrive. We each drink from that well, and we're also creators of that well and that water. Our experiences and our relationships, our lessons learned, our choices, all of it goes into this well that we can draw upon. One analogy I've heard is that when we hit bumps in life, what spills out is whatever we're carrying around in our cups. And I also know, and am witnessing daily right now, that when our cups are empty, things we need to keep going are spilling out from the cups of families and friends and neighbors. I have literally, and I mean really literally, felt that resilience spilling out from the people I have walked beside and stood shoulder to shoulder with and watched respond in real time. Resilience is not a solitary thing, it's an active act of interdependence, holding up those who cannot stand, being held up when we're weak and unsure of our next steps. Practicing resilience is about going on with our lives, carrying so much grief and still making dinner, showing up for our friends even when we're exhausted, and then sleeping in when we need it, keeping on loving fiercely. In his book on living in an atomic age, C.S. Lewis wrote this: "If we are all going to be destroyed by an atomic bomb, let that bomb, when it comes, find us doing sensible and human things, praying, working, teaching, reading, listening to music, bathing the children, playing tennis, chatting to our friends." We are painfully aware of a deadly bomb in our midst. I think it's dropping hurt and disruption on us, spreading inhumanity as if it could grow amongst us, trying to flatten us, making us feel as if we want to give up, and it's hard to choose. It's hard to choose that resilience and to find it. In a recent Facebook post, author Anne Lamott said this: "We all know the answer. We keep it simple, practical, peaceful, and effective. We go left foot, left foot, breathe. We love people like our lives and nation depended on it, because they do. We register voters for the midterms, we donate to election watchers, Oxfam and the ACLU, immigrant legal funds, and so on. And every day we do something that helps a little. We are a resilient people. This is what this country is saying about us, about Minnesota, that the cold, the death of George Floyd and its aftermath, the killing of Philando Castile, and the Hortmans, that these and so many other terrors have made us resilient. But you know, I don't really believe that. I don't believe that pain makes us stronger. I actually believe that how we, with the help of others, move through those experiences is what makes us stronger and more resilient. At the end of that post, Lamott said, "In our pain, our grief and confusion, each small act of goodness, love, and nonviolent resistance helps dilute the toxins that are being dumped on us." And we learn that we can go on because we can. You want to know the end of Vanessa's story? I don't have time to give you all the details, but suffice it to say that she went home, she made her chili, she cried for her mother, she felt shame for assaulting a perfect stranger, and she found that voice inside, you know that small voice that reminds you of who you are and who you want to be, reminding us to look, way over yonder where we're bound. And then she thought, tomorrow will be different. Love will prevail because we will make it so. We will go on because we can. May it always be so. And now another great song. Oh.